Welcome back to the BJack 70 show. I'm your host, Brandon Jackson, and it's another episode of Takeaway Tuesday. We have a whole lot to get into. I got a little bit to say about a whole lot of topics, so don't want to keep you here forever. So we're gonna run through them pretty quickly. At least I hope so. But before we get into that, just want to say right quick, thank you for watching. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, let somebody know what we're doing over here. Tell a friend to tell a friend. As I'll get into in 1 second, I'm better than your favorite better. You know, I'm 47 and 33 against the spread this NFL season, just a hair under 60%. But yeah, go ahead and let somebody know. Share the channel to a friend. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, let's just get into it. We'll recap Brandon's bets because the last time I talked to you, didn't know what was happening in the Seahawks and the Rams game. And my God, Rams plus 1.5 hit, but it was crazy. It was crazy. Um Seahawks pulled it out. They got the craziest 2-point conversion maybe any of us have ever seen. One of the craziest endings to a game that we had seen up until that point, right up until the end of the Lions Steelers game. Um, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Um, but yeah, Rams covered by the skin of their teeth. They had it. They gave it away. Sam Darnold, accepted the gift from the Rams, converted when he needed to convert, threw it to Jackson Smith and Jigba when he needed to throw it to Jackson Smith and Jigba, which basically is every play. Puka Nacua went off on the other side, went crazy off the field and on the field. But shout out to the Seahawks. They did it. They're the number 1 seed in the standings currently. And yeah, that started us off 1-0 on the week way back on Thursday. And then we got in Saturday, Packers minus 1.5 at the Bears, didn't hit. Jordan Love got hurt. Malik Willis came into the game and played pretty well, but Green Bay ended up giving the game away. Couldn't recover an onside kick, and Caleb made him pay. Made him pay through a bomb to DJ Moore, an absolute dime. So shout out to Caleb. But yeah, that didn't hit. And then going into Sunday, Bengals minus 4.5 at the Dolphins. Joe Burrow did what I said he was going to do, playing for pride, and went into Miami and blew the doors off the Dolphins. Joe Flacco was in the fourth quarter. Burrow got everything he needed to do done in 3 quarters. 45 minutes of work, whooped ass, took names, sat down, put Joe Flacco in the game in the fourth. So that was an easy win. Bucks minus 3 at the Panthers. Baker Mayfield. This is the Baker Mayfield that I know. Throwing game-ending interceptions in division rival games that you need in order to get into the playoffs. What can I say? Tampa, you can't say I didn't tell you because I told you as soon as he injured the shoulder, you won't like how this movie ends. I told you, I've seen it. It's happening again. Bryce Young took your heart, snatched your soul. It is what it is at this point. You get another chance at them. Hopefully you can play a little bit better. I mean, I'm not gonna disrespect them like that. They were in position to win the game on that drive. So they had a shot, but their quarterback messed it up, threw a game-ending interception, and it was what it was. But that bet didn't hit. And then just before I got on to record this, San Francisco 49ers covered easily to -5.5 at the Indianapolis Colts, but not for the reasons that I thought. I thought that they were going to attack Philip Rivers and get him on the ground since he can't move. And, I thought it was going to be a bad outing for Philip Rivers, but complete opposite. He has proved me wrong. He balled out. He looked very good. He looked like, he didn't look like his Hall of Famer former self. But he looked like a starting quarterback in this league. He can get some things done. Just on the other side, the Colts defense, let the team down. Because on the other side, Brock Purdy went absolutely bananas, throwing 5 touchdowns to 5 different people. Christian McCaffrey getting loose and, on that second level against the defense. You know, Philip Rivers did all he could, everything he could do as a 44-year-old starting quarterback that's 5 years removed from his last run. He did a pretty good job. So can't, I can already come out and say that he's proved me wrong. He's looked better than I ever thought that he would. So shout out to him for that. They they're still mathematically alive. They got to win their next 2 games to be able to get into the playoffs. They would have to beat the Jaguars and the Texans back to back. Knowing how Philip Rivers looks, I mean, it's not an automatic that they're going to lose both of those, but it's pretty likely they'll lose at least one. Pretty still likely that they'll lose both of those. Um, but you never know. Crazy stuff happens in the NFL all the time. So, can't write them off. Philip Rivers is not bad enough to write this Colts team off so far. So, again, shout out to him, but the Niners did what they were supposed to do, covered this bet pretty easily for a 3-2 week. 47-33 through week 16. It's going pretty well. For my first year documenting all these bets every week, I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job. So again, like if you're just tuning in, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and see if you can make some money these last 2 weeks of the NFL season. It's not too late to make a little bit of money. If you'd been tailing all year, like some people have been doing, you might have, you might be up a little bit of change, but now is better than never, I guess. But yeah, let's get into it's Takeaway Tuesday on the show, and there's too many takeaways to just whittle it down to a few. So this is a podcast. This is my podcast, and I'm just gonna be a stream of consciousness. I have everything I want to talk about written down. So I'm just gonna go in the order that I wrote it. So we'll start here. There's 3 teams alive. There's probably more mathematically, but essentially 3 teams alive for the 1 seed in the AFC. The Broncos, the Pats, the Jacksonville Jaguars. If the Broncos win these next 2 games, they get it, but they play the Chargers in week 18. And I don't know if, depending on what the Chargers do, that could be for. Actually, no, I don't think the Chargers. Whatever. I don't know all the scenarios, but they play the Chargers in week 18, and either way, that game could be for the AFC West division title. So we got a lot of division games coming up, a lot of important games coming up in these next 2 weeks. Um, but like I said, 3 teams alive for the number 1 seed. Broncos are alive for it. The Patriots need some help to get the number 1 seed, but as far as what they need to do, they obviously need to win both of these games. but they should be able to do it because they play both the Jets and the Dolphins. So I'm not worried about the Pats losing these last 2 weeks. So they should go ahead and pull those two games out. But they need the Broncos to at least lose one of those games for them to be able to get that one seed. And then the Jags, they obviously need to win their last two games, and they also need help. They would need the Patriots to lose one of those two games. I don't see that happening, but again, it's the NFL. Crazy stuff happens all the time. You never know. But speaking of Jacksonville, actually, no, that's what I want. If you know me, you know what I'm gonna talk about here with Jacksonville. But that's coming up in a bit. So hold tight for that. Next thing, on the other side, everybody seemingly that's in the playoff picture for the NFC is still alive for the one seed, except for whoever wins the NFC South. That team, they're just gonna have to deal with their number 4 seed, their home playoff game, and they're gonna have to play a damn juggernaut that's gonna come in there. Um, whether it be the 49ers, whether it be the Seahawks, whether it be the Rams, whether it be the Lions, whether it be the Bears, they're going to have to deal with a really excellent team coming into either Tampa or Carolina. And I'm not going to like their odds either way, but we will see what happens. At this point, feels like it's going to be Carolina, but can't write Tampa off. Tampa has too much talent on the offensive end to keep playing like they're playing. I know I talk a lot about Baker Mayfield and how inconsistent he can be. But at the beginning of the season, he was playing like the MVP. So if he can channel that in these last two games, they still do have a shot. But yeah, everybody in the NFC has a real shot of winning the one seed, making a run. It's a wide open league. It's a wide open league, wide open on the NFC, wide open in the AFC. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to see. I'm very curious to see what the matchups end up being. Um, I'm usually pretty good at picking the winners of playoff games. I never have usually gotten into doing, picking the spreads in the playoffs, but I do pretty good with money lines in the playoffs. Um, so we'll see when we get there. We'll see how we want to play that, um, but yeah, I'm very excited for more football. That's all I have to say. Um, Next up, the Detroit Lions. The Lions are now currently, after losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers in an unbelievable ending to the game. And when I say unbelievable, I don't mean like unbelievably exciting or positive or you know anything like I don't even know what I want to say. Like the confusion I have in describing it is the same thing that I was feeling when it was happening. So if you haven't seen it, what happened at the end of this Detroit Lions Pittsburgh Steelers game, it was fourth down. Jared Goff throws the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown at the goal line. Amon-Ra catches it, does not cross the plane of the goal line. He's stuffed by two Steelers right at the goal line. The ball does not cross the plane. Amon-Ra manages to lateral the ball back to Jared Goff. Jared Goff then runs into the end zone for a touchdown, and time expires. But there's a flag on the play. The flag is for offensive pass interference on Amon-Ra St. Brown. So everybody we only know this after the fact. The flag, this play happens. The flag is thrown. The referees have a conference longer. The referees have a conference longer than the entirety of the first half of this game. But the ref finally announces the ruling on the field is a touchdown. Crowd goes crazy, but there was offensive pass interference on the offense. It would have been a replay fourth down situation, but since it was against the offense, that does not extend the game. You don't get an untimed down. There was no time left on the clock. Therefore, the game is over. But when they announced that, they didn't explain it that way. They just said ruling on the field was a touchdown. However, there was a penalty on the offense, offensive pass interference, number 14, however many yard penalty, but the game is over. What do you mean the game is over? We need a little bit more info. Ended up getting that info after the game from the referees. They go a little bit more in depth, let us know that Amon Ra, the conference was they had to figure out if Amon Ra just fumbled or if he threw an intentional backwards pass. So they finally determined he threw an intentional backwards pass to Jared Goff. Jared Goff scored, so they had to rule that Jared Goff scored a touchdown, but still had to go ahead and call the offensive pass interference, and time expired. There's no untimed down, and the game was over. But whole lot of mess. DK Metcalf literally swung at a fan in the stands. That's a whole mess. As of this recording, he's been suspended for 2 games. He's going to appeal. At this time, I don't know what has happened with the appeal. DK, people in DK's camp say there was a racial slur said, something about his mom said. On the other side, obviously the fan has come out and said, I didn't say that. I said nothing like that. I only said his full government name. But I'm pro player, so I'm always going to believe there's no reason DK Metcalf would have swung at this fan without there being something egregious said. So I'm always going to side with the player. That being said, you can't really swing at fans. You just can't do it, no matter what they say. If it was me, if I was the league, I'd probably just fine them. But I mean, people immediately were calling for a suspension because I don't know. I don't know. It looks real bad. It's bad optics for the league, so I guess you do got to suspend them. But even on the other side, no matter what, seemingly this particular fan has caused a ruckus for DK Metcalf in the past, even when he was in Seattle last year. So at this point, we can ban that dude from NFL football games for the foreseeable future. And we'll call it even. Give DK a game, get that dude out of here, causing too much trouble. Even if everything was on the level, even if he didn't use a racial slur or anything, there's just the block is too hot. Get everybody gotta go. Everybody gotta go. So that's it. But yeah, getting back to original point, Lions, they lost. They're fighting for their lives, trying to get into the playoffs. They need to win 2 games, and then they need Green Bay to lose 2 games. Who do the Lions play? 1 second. Okay, yeah, the Lions play on Christmas. They play the Vikings. So in theory, they should win that game. The Packers play the Ravens on Saturday. I'm assuming Jordan Love won't play. And as far as the Ravens go, it feels like Lamar Jackson won't play. He left Sunday night's game with a back injury. They play on Saturday, so that's a short week. Kind of tough. Definitely tough for somebody with a concussion. When quarterbacks get a concussion, they usually will miss that next game. And especially on a short week, I don't think they'll even come close to letting Jordan play in that game. And then who do the Lions play week 18? Lions play Bears week 18. So Lions should win on Christmas. They should beat the Vikings. And then they'll see on Saturday what happens with the Packers. So yeah, they're fighting for their lives. At this point, I'm sure they will win, and they should win against Minnesota on Thursday. Um but yeah, I going into the year, I don't remember. I'd have to look it up, but I believe I had the Lions going into the playoffs, but it definitely wasn't winning the division. The Lions were a team I saw based on their schedule that they had. They could be a team that was right on the fringe, and here we are. They're right on the fringe. Um, Chicago's playing at a high level. But yeah, we'll see what the Lions are able to do. That was a weird game. They weren't able to really get anything going until it was too late against the Steelers. Um, yeah, that's really all I got for the Lions. But speaking about the Steelers win. They got 9 games. They're going to be over 500 again for the 19th straight time with Mike Tomlin. Again, has never been under 500 as a Steelers head coach, which people keep saying that stat. People keep talking about that, but that's really insane. Like he's never ever let the bottom fall out of this football team ever. And that's very, very impressive, even with injuries, even with Antonio Brown running wild, even with Ben Roethlisberger being suspended for various issues, um, even with Ryan Clark knocking people into the hospital. That's not a bad thing for them. I'm just naming things, but Mike Tomlin has back a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the potential of Mike Tomlin getting fired. Since that talk, I forget who they beat, but they beat a team and he blew a kiss to the camera. This Pittsburgh team has reached a level that I didn't know that they had the ability to reach. I didn't know that they could look this well. Aaron Rodgers is playing at a high level. I love seeing that. I love watching the greats still be great late into their careers. I know it's probably hypocritical because I was talking shit about Phil Rivers. But I just thought he was too far gone. I thought he was too far gone when he was an Indianapolis Colt, but I was wrong. But Aaron Rodgers still out here doing it at a high level. It's fun to watch. He's actually having fun. He's connecting with his teammates. The little walkout that Rodgers, Cam Hayward, and Mike Tomlin that they do, savoring the energy, savoring every chance they get to be out on the field. Um, you know that that's real football guy shit. And I really appreciate seeing that. Really appreciate seeing it. Really love to see it. Um, and they're playing well. Jalen Warren went crazy. Jalen Warren is doing excellent. Kenneth Gainwell is having a great year. Doing this on the other side without TJ Watt. They had some guys banged up. They should be getting a tad bit healthier. They just got Derek Harmon back. Should be getting healthier. We'll see with them what happens with DK. Even even if they do, even if they do not have DK Metcalf these last two games, they just need to win one of them, and they play the Browns this upcoming week. It's in Cleveland, but this is going to be a Pittsburgh ninth or 10th home game. I don't know how they either have 8 or 9 home games. I don't know which one, but this is going to be an extra home game for them. I don't, I was at Cleveland against Buffalo last Sunday. It was 80% Bills fans in there. So I expect there to be 92% Steelers fans in Brown Stadium. They're going to take it over because all they need to do is win that game. They're in the playoffs, and they're pretty much I think they'll pretty much be locked into their 4 seeds. So maybe they'll rest some guys. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not even gonna bother. But shout out to Pittsburgh. I I said earlier in the year when Lamar Jackson comes back that the Ravens would walk them down, and the Ravens walked them down when Lamar came back. But after the Baltimore Ravens, got the lead in the AFC North, Pittsburgh took it back, and it looks like they're not looking back. Segueing into the next point, Baltimore, the Ravens, they just don't have it. This year, 2025, they just don't have it, man. I don't know what it is. It's just been weird in Baltimore. John Harbaugh not giving the ball to Derrick Henry. Everybody's talking about it. What are they doing? Lamar Jackson is hurt again, left the game, couldn't finish the game. Will he play this week? The season is literally on the line. You know, I'm not going to question Lamar. I love Lamar. I had him number 2 quarterback on overall on my list going into the year. I love Lamar Jackson. I'm not going to question him. We'll see if he plays. Otherwise, on this team, Zay Flowers has fumbled way too many games away. The defense started out dog shit, but they've gotten their act together. But think about what they could have been if they didn't have that egregious start. I don't know. Like again, it's Baltimore. If they don't make playoffs, feels like it's time to get a new voice in there. And in my TikTok comments, I posted talking about that it's time for Jim or John Harbaugh to go. And somebody suggested to me that the Baltimore Ravens would trade Lamar Jackson before they fired John Harbaugh. These are the people that I have to deal with in my TikTok comments. They think a franchise with a 2-time MVP at quarterback will get rid of that 2-time MVP at quarterback before they get rid of their head coach. That's insanity. And again, John Harbaugh has done a great job with the Baltimore Ravens franchise. This is a situation like Tampa with Bruce Arians. We're going to promote you president, VP of football operations. Do it like Bruce Arians did. Do it like Brad Stevens did in Boston. Just get a new voice in there. Get a new voice in the day-to-day activity, and I think it would work wonders for this Baltimore Ravens team. Now, as Browns fan, do I want them to get it right? No. So they can keep Harbaugh, they can keep Lamar, do whatever they want to do. Keep that going. And I'll be cool with it. But, for in the spirit of good football, They probably need to get a new voice in there. All right. Next thing, these new young quarterbacks in the league, in the spirit of John Cena retiring, the young QBs, their time is now. Their time is right now. And the young quarterbacks that I'm talking about, Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, and frankly, after what I saw on Monday Night Football, Brock Purdy. These guys, all of them are officially in the playoffs now. And of course, you got the holdovers, you got the veterans, Aaron Rodgers most likely is going to be in the playoffs. Justin Herbert is young, but I feel like older than these guys. He's a year older, I believe, than Trevor Lawrence, or a couple years older than Trevor Lawrence, but I think he's put himself in a different group. These guys that I'm talking about, Drake, Trevor, Caleb, Brock, haven't really fully proven themselves yet. And I know people are going to say Brock Purdy was in the Super Bowl. I don't care. He was not the quarterback that he is right now when he was in the Super Bowl. That was Kyle Shanahan pulling the strings, Debo, Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, all those guys firing on all cylinders. This is a different version of Brock Purdy. This is a version of Brock Purdy that's getting paid, that's got the big contract. Caleb Williams, game winning drive in prime time, maybe the throw of the season, throwing that 40-yard pass to DJ Moore for a touchdown was incredible. And he's really been showing that he is one of those clutch quarterbacks because he's been doing it all season. I know a lot of people remember the interception that he threw to lose one of those games in the clutch, but otherwise, he's been bringing it when he needs to bring it. No matter what the rest of the game looks like, you can count on Caleb Williams at the end of the game when you need it. He's going to give you a shot. Drake May, Drake May is already stamped a star. He's everything that they said that he might be. He is basically just baby great value version of Josh Allen. And Josh Allen is so great that if you get great value, that's pretty amazing. Like, as a Cleveland fan, I would take that. Pretty much anybody else, maybe 28, 27 franchises around the National Football League would take Drake May as their quarterback if you offered it. Um, you know, Chiefs would say no, Ravens would say no, obviously the Bills would say no. Uh Bears probably say no. Mm, Commanders say no. After that, it's then we get into discussion. Um Drake May is playing like he is that guy already. And he's been in the MVP conversation. I don't think he will win the award, but he he might be second team all pro behind Matt Stafford. He really might. He's unbelievable. He's a gifted player. And then I haven't talked about him on the podcast in a long time. And the last time that I was talking about him, it was in a negative light. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence. Are we here? Are we finally at the point that it took 5 long years for us to get to? Are we finally hitting the expectations of the generational prospect of Trevor Lawrence? You know, drafted number one overall, been to the playoffs, by the way, won a playoff game, by the way, gave prime Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs everything they could handle, by the way. Trevor Lawrence is looking like that guy that we thought he was going to be. And I'm so happy. I'm so proud. Um and I thought long and hard about putting Jacksonville +3 or +2.5 in Brandon's bets. Um, but I didn't want to get let down by the Jacksonville Jaguars again. I've spent most of the early part of this season betting against them, betting against the Jags, anticipating that Trevor would fail. Because more often than not, he was failing. But I think what I thought about what the Jacksonville Jaguars would do going into the season, they finally have become that. Um, at the beginning of the year, the defense was great and they were winning despite Trevor Lawrence. Now, and as you can see, what they did against the Denver Broncos, they are winning now because of their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. And I believed in what Liam Cohen could do because I saw what Liam Cohen did with Baker Mayfield. And I believe that Trevor Lawrence is a much more talented quarterback than Baker Mayfield. So put two and two together, I thought that he would finally be able to take the leap. And it took some weeks, it took some getting used to, but now, damn it, we're finally here. We're finally here, and it feels great. Jacksonville, like I said earlier, is in the mix for the number one seed. Probably won't get it, and that's okay. They're going to host a playoff game, and they're a part of one of these teams that can make a run. Anybody at this point can make a run. As long as you have a quarterback that can play at a very good level and you have a good defense, you got a chance to make a run in these playoffs in 2025. Everybody's got a shot. There's about 8 or 9 teams realistically that you can make the case for because they either have an excellent quarterback or they have a good enough quarterback with a good enough defense or a good enough supporting cast to propel them if they get hot to propel them through these playoffs. And I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm very excited to see who takes advantage of the NFL being this wide open because I'm I'm looking at you, Joshua Allen, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. I'm looking right at you because more than likely Lamar Jackson will not be in these playoffs. And we know Patrick Mahomes won't be in these playoffs. Joe Burrow's not in these playoffs. You're the guy. You're going to be that guy. You are the marquee when the NFL goes to market these playoff games to these teams instead of the Chiefs being that Sunday 4 o'clock window that everybody wants. It's going to be the Bills in there. Whoever the Bills are playing, and the Bills will be on the road, but Josh Allen will be the best quarterback playing. They're going to want to put you front and center. Josh Allen, are you a man or a mouse? Let us know. Let us know because out of everybody that's going to be in this playoff field, you are the one that has the most to gain by winning a Super Bowl. You're an excellent player. You are an elite player. You are one of the true superheroes that the league has to offer playing football every Sunday. Every week I pretty much get on here and call you a super soldier. You are an amazing player, and you probably, God willing, stay healthy and keep doing the numbers that you're doing, would end up in the Hall of Fame. But buddy, you go ahead and get that Super Bowl, get a Super Bowl MVP. You're stamped. You're stamped. Your legacy is you'll you'll be stamped. So I'm looking at Josh Allen at this wide open landscape in the NFL. What can you do with it? And the rest of the teams in the AFC, the rest of those quarterbacks that are in that field, you really you really have a shot to put a rocket on your legacy and jump over a lot of guys, because the regular season is one thing, making highlight plays and winning games and doing all the fun stuff in the regular season is one thing, but doing it in the playoffs is is that one thing that will make you remembered forever. Um because I mean, look at how much l- because CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels came into the league and immediately got into the playoffs and performed in the playoffs. Look at how we talk about them, even though after that they haven't really been they haven't reached those highs again. CJ hasn't reached those highs again, and Jaden, it's only been a second year. He's been injured. I'm not saying he's hasn't played well, but when he was healthy, he wasn't playing amazingly. But we still put the respect on their name because we saw them getting there early and perform in the playoffs. If Drake May shows up in these playoffs and just puts the Patriots on his back and gets to the AFC Championship game, nobody will say a bad thing about Drake May for ever, maybe. Like, winning early, showing that you can win early erases all kinds of questions. Lamar Jackson still has questions to this day because he lost about 3 or 4 straight playoff games. He didn't perform for a long time in the playoffs, and he still has questions. We know what he can do in the regular season, 1, 2 MVPs, wins a lot of regular season games, but people still have questions about him in the postseason because of how he started off. We don't have those questions about CJ. We don't have those questions about Jaden Daniels. Honestly, we don't have those questions about Trevor Lawrence because he did win a playoff game. He hasn't been in the playoffs that many times. I think once or twice. We have no questions because in this first playoff game, he executed the biggest comeback in playoff history. Was it the biggest? One of the biggest comebacks in playoff history. So now we don't have any questions about Trevor Lawrence. Nobody brings that up. The questions that they have about Trevor Lawrence is, can he be consistent? But they don't have questions about him being a playoff performer. We have questions about Justin Herbert being a playoff performer because every time they get close to the playoffs or in the playoffs, it implodes. The Chargers do the Charger thing because he hasn't won early. We don't have questions about CJ Stroud if he gets in because he got a game and looked good early. Jordan Love looked good early. So I'm wondering who in this group of quarterbacks is going to take advantage, either in the AFC or the NFC. Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has an excellent shot to turn down all the noise that was brought up about him during his rookie season. He has an excellent chance to do that. If he plays well, in his first game and can win that game, that noise will be turned down exponentially because the playoffs are important. Obviously, I mean, I'm not breaking any news. The playoffs are important, and this is where legacies are started, created, formed. I can't wait to see it. But been a long episode. I appreciate you staying with me this long if you're still here. Like I said, I had a lot to get to. I had seemingly a lot to say about a lot of different things, but again, if you're still here, still rocking with me, I appreciate you. If you've been here for this long, go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up. That's the like button. Hit that thumbs up. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm better than your favorite better. Speaking of Brandon's bets, it could come out Wednesday. It could come out like normal on Friday. I don't know yet. I don't know. I know there's 3 Christmas games. I don't know if I'm going to bet any of the Christmas games. If I do bet one of the Christmas games, then it'll be out on Wednesday. If I don't end up betting the Christmas games, then obviously it'll just come out on Friday. Christmas is on Thursday. I'll be doing some traveling. I know everybody will pretty much be doing some form of traveling. So that's going to affect me too. If I do it if it does come on Friday, it'll just be the phone. It'll just be a selfie video. So don't expect the production, the high production quality you get here. But we'll see. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Appreciate you being here. And thanks for following. Thanks for subscribing. And until the next one, if I don't see you, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Enjoy the time with your family, opening up gifts, eating some good food, doing whatever you want to do, drinking eggnog. Yeah, Merry Christmas. But until the next one, see ya.